It was the year 2003. We are introduced to Staff Sergeant John, a member of the United States Army Special Forces. He has been shot twice during a mission in Afghanistan. As he reflects on the moment those bullets hit him, his mind takes him back to his childhood, to the time he used to collect coins with his father. He compares his life to that of a coin. Just like a coin serves its purpose, he believes he too is serving his country. The story then shifts to his past, a peaceful beachside where a young woman named Savannah is standing with her friends. Suddenly, due to one of her friend's mistakes, her purse falls into the water. Just as her friend prepares to jump in, John, who's nearby, acts swiftly. He dives into the water and retrieves Savannah's purse. She's incredibly grateful for his help and invites him to a barbecue party. At first, John politely declines, but later changes his mind and agrees to come. At the party, John and Savannah have a warm and engaging conversation. Then, a little boy runs up and hugs Savannah tightly, clearly very fond of her. The boy seems to have a mental condition, and soon his father, Tim, joins them. Savannah has cared for the boy since he was little, which deeply impresses John. He sees the kindness in her heart. As they gaze at the moon together, Savannah says that the moon always looks big when it's high up in the sky, but appears smaller as it descends. John replies thoughtfully, "No matter where you are in the world, just hold up your thumb in front of the moon, and it'll disappear behind it." Savannah finds this deeply fascinating. Before leaving, John gathers the courage to ask, "Would you go on a date with me?" Savannah smiles and says yes. As John walks away, he sees Tim and his son driving home. They offer him a ride, and during the ride, John learns that Tim's wife is currently away on vacation. Before dropping him off, Tim jokingly warns, "Never hurt Savannah, or it won't end well for you." When John returns home, we see a glimpse of his relationship with his father. They barely talk, and there's a quiet distance between them. The next evening, John and Savannah go out on their first date. As they approach a restaurant, a few men standing outside look at John and say, "We don't want any trouble." Calmly, John reassures them, "Don't worry, there won't be any trouble." Savannah notices this and asks him about it inside, but John avoids the topic and keeps things to himself. Curious to know more about him, Savannah gently asks John about his family, especially his father. John, a little guarded, wonders why she's asking so much about his past. She simply replies, "Because I like you, and I want to meet your dad." Eventually, John takes her to his home, where she finally meets his father, a quiet man with an impressive coin collection. As they talk, Savannah gets genuinely interested in the coins, asking lots of questions. John enjoys watching them connect. Before she leaves, he asks, "Can we meet again?" And Savannah happily agrees. Days pass by, and they don't see each other for a while. When they finally meet again, John asks where she's been. Savannah takes him to a construction site where a wooden house is being built. She explains that the organization she works for builds homes for families whose houses are destroyed by hurricanes. Since the area is close to the ocean, storms often leave people homeless. As they talk, it starts to rain, and they both take shelter inside the half-built house. There, Savannah notices a scar on John's head. When she asks about it, John opens up, saying he was a completely different person 5 years ago, a fighter, but he has changed now. Savannah softly responds, "I'm not afraid of you." And in that moment, she also realizes why those people at the restaurant were cautious around him on their first date. Their bond grows stronger, and soon they start a real relationship. They begin spending more time together, and their love deepens. But the reality of John's duty as a soldier soon catches up. His vacation is ending, and he has to return to the army. Savannah becomes sad hearing this. John tries to comfort her, saying, "1 year will pass before you even realize it," referring to his next leave. Savannah nods, trying to be strong. She tells John that she's decided where she'll spend her time while he's away, with his father. She has learned that his father has Asperger's syndrome, a condition where someone struggles with social interaction and tends to be deeply obsessed with specific interests. Just like John's father is deeply focused on collecting coins. But John doesn't take it well when Savannah says she wants to spend time with his father. He insists, "There's nothing wrong with my dad," and walks away, visibly upset. One of Savannah's friends tries to stop him and explain, but John, overcome with anger, punches him. Even Tim steps in, trying to calm him down, but John can't control himself and ends up hurting Tim too. This upsets Savannah deeply. John leaves the place, angry and ashamed. The next day, regret hits him hard. He writes a heartfelt letter to Savannah and goes to her house to apologize. But she's not home. Tim, her neighbor, sees him and John apologizes sincerely before handing him the letter. That day happens to be Sunday, a day when Savannah usually has lunch with John, his father. But today, she doesn't show up. John's father, who genuinely likes Savannah, still sets a plate for her at the table. But John, feeling the weight of everything, quietly removes it. Just then, he hears a car pull up outside. He runs to the door, and there she is, Savannah, holding the very letter he wrote. She's forgiven him, and the two of them reunite once again. John soon returns to his military duty, and their relationship continues through letters. Savannah tells him she now wants to work with children who are differently abled, those who need love and care. Meanwhile, Savannah continues to look after John's father. One day, she curiously asks him why he collects coins, but he doesn't answer. So she writes to John, hoping to understand more. In his reply, John shares a memory from when he was 8. He found a strange-looking penny and took it to a shopkeeper, who offered $20 for it. The shopkeeper explained that sometimes coins have minting errors, making them rare and more valuable. But instead of selling it, his father went to another expert who valued it at $4,000. The expert advised, "Don't sell it. Give it to your son, and he'll give it to his son. Over generations, its value will only increase." That moment sparked John's father's obsession with coin collecting. Interestingly, it was originally John's passion, but as he grew older, he lost interest. Since their bond was built around coins, their conversation started fading when John no longer cared about them. Slowly, the connection between father and son began to fade as well. Meanwhile, nearly a year had passed, and John was counting the days until he could leave the army and be with Savannah forever. But just before that could happen, the tragic 9/11 attacks shook the world. The army urgently reached out to its soldiers, asking them to continue their service. "Your country needs you now more than ever," they were told. Confused and torn, John was granted a 1-week leave. He came home for a short visit. Savannah was overjoyed to see him again, but her happiness didn't last long. She soon realized John was going back. That war was inevitable now. Her heart sank, but John had made up his mind. He chose duty over love, and once again, he rejoined his unit. The two lovers, who had dreamed of finally being together, were once more pulled apart by circumstances beyond their control. Still, their love found its way through handwritten letters, a connection that kept them going. But then, something changed. One day, Savannah's letters suddenly stopped. John waited anxiously, day after day, hoping to hear from her. Finally, a letter arrived. His heart lifted for a moment, until he opened it. Savannah had written to say goodbye. She confessed that she didn't have the courage to write earlier, but she had to end their relationship. John was shattered. He burned every letter she had ever written to him, and from that moment on, he poured his soul into his service, shutting away every emotion. His duty became everything. And it was during one of these missions in Afghanistan that he got shot twice. This brings us back to the very beginning of the story, to the moment John was injured in battle. Eventually, he recovered. The army gave him the option to return home for good, but John refused. He said with quiet conviction, "I want to continue serving my country." And so, he remained with the army, dedicating himself to his mission. Then one day, he received devastating news. His father was gravely ill. It was time for John to return home, back to the place filled with memories, the same place where he had once spent beautiful moments with Savannah. John first visits the hospital, where he finds out that his father has suffered a heart attack. The guilt weighs heavy on him. He regrets not being there for his father, not spending enough time. Since they rarely spoke, John decides to express everything he has ever felt in a heartfelt letter. It contains everything we saw earlier in the flashbacks, memories, pain, and all the words left unsaid. As he reads the letter aloud to his father, the old man reaches out and holds John's hand tightly. It's a quiet, emotional moment, but sadly, John's father doesn't survive. After the funeral, as John drives back home, he passes by Savannah's old farmhouse, the place where they once shared so many memories. Unable to stop himself, he visits her. Savannah invites him inside. To his shock, John sees that Savannah is now married to Tim, her neighbor, whose son had special needs. John is stunned. Savannah explains that Tim has cancer and is in the hospital. She had to sell her home to pay for his treatments, but now the money has run out, and she doesn't know how she'll manage. Savannah takes John to the hospital, where Tim, now very weak, apologizes to John. He tells him the truth, that he had always loved Savannah, but she never loved him back. He married her only because he needed someone to care for his son after he was gone. Tim says, "At least now, I can die knowing someone will be there for my boy." He also tells John that Savannah has always loved him, that she still does. Tim admits, "I never saw love for me in her eyes, but I saw it every time she looked at you." Later, back at Savannah's house, John finally speaks from the heart. He says, "You could have at least called me. You just sent a letter." Savannah, eyes filled with tears, softly replies, "If I had heard your voice, I might have changed my mind." She breaks down and hugs him tightly. Savannah then explains how she only married Tim to make sure his son had someone to love and care for him. Her decision wasn't out of romance. It was out of compassion. And though they were legally married, there was never any physical relationship between them. But now, by law, she is the boy's mother. Through John's eyes, we see the depth of Savannah's heart. Someone who gave up everything for the well-being of a child, even at the cost of her own happiness. After returning home, John makes a powerful decision. He sells his father's entire coin collection, a collection that had once been the bridge between them. The sale brings in a large sum of money. Without revealing his identity, John anonymously transfers all of it to Savannah's bank account. But he keeps one special coin, the very first one he had found as a child. It holds deep sentimental value, a symbol of memory, luck, and love. Then, once again, he returns to duty, quietly carrying the weight of everything in his heart. One day, John receives a letter from Savannah. She writes that someone had donated a large amount of money, which allowed Tim to receive 2 more months of medical treatment. But despite all efforts, they couldn't save him. Tim had passed away. Months go by. Savannah is shown standing under the night sky, looking up at the moon, the same moon she once spoke about with John. Every time she gazes at it, she remembers him. Eventually, John's military service comes to an end. He returns to his homeland, carrying memories, growth, and quiet strength. One afternoon, while parking his bike, he notices Savannah sitting inside a coffee house. His face lights up with a soft, hopeful smile. Their eyes meet, a pause, then they embrace. No words are needed. The past may have been painful, but in this one moment, they choose to let go and begin again. Sometimes, life doesn't unfold the way we dreamed. Moments slip away, people drift apart, and hearts are left wondering, what if? But that doesn't mean life stops. And love, real love, it doesn't disappear. It transforms. It waits. It teaches us to be patient, to be kind, to forgive, not just others, but also ourselves. Like John, we all carry stories within us, of loss, of hope, of second chances. Because love isn't always about holding on tightly. Sometimes it's about letting go and trusting that if it's meant to be, love will find its way back when the time is right. If this story touched your heart the way it touched ours, please support our channel with a like, a comment, or a simple subscribe. Your support helps us bring you more stories that heal, that move, that remind us love always finds a way.